Sure, I could be.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Fantasy NBA Today, a sports ethos show where I get abused by Dr. A and producer Andre Lemouche. But it's also brought to you by our great partners at FanDuel. And hello, Doc. On this show, we're going to be hitting our top ads, streamers, and players in the, in the drop zone. How are you doing, sir? And who is your top ad?
I'm recovering from watching the most boring Super Bowl football game I've ever sat through. I'm doing well. I had a great weekend in Golden Tee, in the Golden Tee realm, and I got a four pretty big fantasy hoops wins, including 2 in 30 deep. That's keeping me in the playoff hunt.
Nice, nice.
Fun.
Well, aside from your dominance in Golden Tee, you and Will Arnett are definitely going to meet up at some point in time, right? And play a game.
That would be cool. I would enjoy that. My first ad is someone who should never have been dropped in the first place, and that's my man Khalil Ware. Khalil Ware and Jay Huff, man. Like, why can't their coaches give them minutes? So on Friday, Khalil Ware plays 10 minutes, has 2 points, 5 boards, nothing else. I'm sure he got dropped after that. Like, people had finally had enough. Like, I don't care what Doc says. I don't care what Bruce says. I'm cutting this guy. And then on Sunday, he turns around and gets 30 minutes, goes off for 19 points, 14 boards, a block, a 3, good shooting. I just don't get it. And Brew, we told people to hang on through the All-Star break. For the Heat tonight, I think Pelle Larsson is doubtful. Tyler Hero's out and Norman Powell is questionable. So, there's a chance they fire up Khalil Ware again tonight. But nothing is more frustrating than knowing the player you like or the player you have is good, but the coach just holds him back.
Yeah, adding to the confusion too is this line comes against the Washington Wizards, who are, like a lot of teams in the NBA, actively trying to lose games, throwing games, which is a topic around the league we're going to touch on throughout the show. He also got dunked on by teammate Bam Adebayo. And you know what's funny about that is it's like this moment of levity in a situation that's been really rough for the Miami Heat, where Spo has kind of, I think he's on the apology count for Spo. I think he's apologized twice or 3 times to Khalil Ware for either something he said or not playing him. And here's this fun moment, maybe like loosen things up around there. And I don't think Miami's going to change their posture as far as how they deploy their guys, but I do think that at some point in time, Khalil Ware will become more consistent rather than less consistent. And with that comes top 30 numbers. And I will never drop Khalil Ware. Never. There's not a thing that could happen for me to drop Khalil Ware. Let's get to my next ad. It's an interesting, very weird name. I mean, if you kind of pulled me on this a couple of years ago, there'd be no way. Marvin Bagley III had 16 points, 12 boards, 2 assists, 1 steal, 4 blocks, 1 3, not for the Wizards, but for the Dallas Mavericks. The Mavericks have this Duke thing going on right now. And if you follow the league long enough, you start to sense these trends where certain front offices are aligned with certain colleges and, kind of how all that works. And you got Cooper Flag over there in Dallas, and you just start to kind of connect some dots. Be like, why is Marvin Bagley here? I mean, you got a guy named Moussa Cisse hanging out. And you also have other centers just kind of all over the place. But Marvin Bagley came in, and he's been doing this with Washington already this season. And I don't think they're all into Dwight Powell right now, and I don't know what the story is with Moussa Cisse. Well, actually, I do. I'll talk about it at some point in time here today. But in the meantime, Marvin Bagley might just be the man of the hour in Dallas, and he might just carry you through the next couple of weeks. And he might also be the solution to the question of what to do with Moussa Cisse. The answer is probably you go with both of them and see if you could get value out of both of them down the stretch as the Dallas Mavericks tank. Doc, who you got?
Bro, I'm stealing this guy from you. It is Jaden Ivey. And in his first game with the Chicago Bulls, Jaden Ivey started alongside Anthony Simons because Sumu is gone. Josh Giddey and Trey Jones are hurt. So it's the Ivy and Simons show. And both of these guys, I think, are worth talking about. Simons had 15 points, hit 3 triples with 6 dimes. And Jaden Ivey played 30 minutes, had 10 points, 2 threes, 6 boards, 3 assists, and 2 steals. And as long as Trey Jones and Josh Giddey are hurt, I think it's going to be the Simons and Ivy show. And I think once they're healthy, I would not be shocked to see Jaden Ivey continue to get 30 minutes a game. So the stat line wasn't crazy good, but it was encouraging. And we just need to, I think you just need to keep a close eye on Ivy. You can stream him, you pick him up in a deep league. But I kind of like what's going on there. And then Gershon Yabusele also started for the Chicago Bulls. Like, what a weird lineup they played that night. 26 minutes, 12 points for the big man, 2 rebounds, a steal, and 2 blocks. We're all fired up about Jalen Smith, and then they added all those other big men, including Yabusele. And maybe Yabusele, they're going to kick the tires on him and let him go out there and play. But I think all 3 of these guys, Yabusele, Simons, and Ivy, they're not must-have guys, but they're might-have guys.
Ooh, I like that. We might have to work with that going forward. It's their names now to keep track of. Like Yabusele could come in and just be one additional thing to keep Jalen Smith from being kind of this league winner guy that a lot of people were positioning him as. I don't think I was going there. I think I like his rest of season outlook. But I mean, Yabusele, Nick Richards had 15 and 7 with a steal and a block in that game. No Jalen Smith in that game, already kind of succumbing to the injury risk that we've been talking about on and on and on and on. I've been trying to say, let's position Jalen Smith as a late round guy. And if he does a little bit better than that, great. But Chicago, it feels like finally they're going to try to really fully tank. And I don't like what that means for Josh Giddey, and somebody like Jaden Ivey might end up just sort of navigating all of that and ending up being the best, maybe not the best because Giddey's so good, but as it starts to fall apart, Jaden Ivey might be the guy leading the pack there. Speaking of falling apart, the Sacramento Kings are up next. Doc, if you want to kick back in your chair and just relax, we got about 7 to 9 minutes.
I'm going to go run down. I'm going to run to the store real quick and get some bread and milk.
Here, let me bring you back to the conversation because I'll take this back to the Chicago thing real quick. I forgot one thing. Modest Bacelis, as we talk about tanking in Chicago, I just want to throw it out there. I think he's kind of safe from all that. All right, let's get to the Sacramento Kings. Nick Clifford had 30 points.
You didn't even need me for that. What are you going to need me for this?
I was just deking you because as you were sitting back, I needed you to sit forward there. Nick Clifford, you'll sit forward for this, Doc. He had 30 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals, 2 blocks, 5 threes. The whole damn team got loose. And when I say team, I mean the team that I'm here to watch. And that's not the starters. It's not the veterans. I want to watch these young guys play. Devin Carter, 18 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block, 2 threes. Daquan Plowden, 16 and 6 and 4, a steal and 2 threes in 39.5 minutes. Dylan Cardwell, 12 and 11 with 4 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. Cardwell's the guy that's going to be the most consistent. He's rostered in just about every league right now. So, great job, everybody. That was actually a good one by the fantasy community there. Devin Carter and Plowden, I think, are going to get erased every single time the starters come back every other game or however they want to deploy these guys down the stretch. The tank race in the NBA is going to be pretty crazy. They want Nick Clifford on the ball. He's got stat set issues and consistency issues, and I think it's not going to work out until we get into like T-minus 3 or 4 weeks to go. But these are all names that you guys should know. And Doc, we kept it under a minute with the Sacramento Kings. Who you got next?
That was unbelievable. I've got Moses Moody written down. I kind of wish that I also had Guy Santos while we're in Golden State written down. So we'll talk about both of them. Moses Moody got loose on, I think it was Sunday, 25 points, 5 threes. He only hit 5 of 14 3-pointers, but he still somehow almost shot 50% from the floor. 25 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, 3 steals, and a block from Moses Moody. The game before that was a dud for him. He does seem to blow up and have a big game about every 5th game he plays. So maybe he's going to be quiet for the next week. But I kind of kind of think Moses Moody's going to have a good second half. And then Guy Santos is playing power forward for them. And 26 minutes, 15 points, a 3, 8 boards, and a steal. If you're in a deep league, I think Guy Santos looks pretty good right now.
Yeah, I think they'll keep rewarding him with playing time, and it's going to get tight when Steph gets back on the other side of the break, is my guess what happens there. And then it's going to be on Guy to keep earning his playing time. He'll probably be the first one to fall off the cliff, if I had to guess. And then you got your Moody and DeAnthony Melton and Brandon Pajemski crew to hold down the next level there. Let's go to Reed Shepherd, 16-3-6, 3 steals, 1-3, 32 minutes. The regression is going to start here, I think, in the next few weeks. So if Reed Shepherd was dropped in your league, he generally has a top 100 floor when the things are when the shots reasonably falling. If he's not hitting his shots, he kind of falls back into the bottom of the top 200, which is what he did the last month or two. But overall in the season, he's a top 100 guy with upside beyond that. And once he starts shooting well, I think that's your sign to go pick him up. Doc, who do you got next?
Bro, I was trying to find. I just put in a move for a player that had gotten cut in one of my leagues, and my only choice to drop was Reed Shepherd. And the dude's on waivers, so I have to wait till like tomorrow to find out if I got him. But I'm going to look that up while you're talking at some point and go over that with you later. The next guy on my list is a Sacramento King as well. Hopefully oh, wait, you already talked Devin Carter, didn't you?
I did a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm
fired up about Devin Carter right now. So that's all I got to say about that.
If you want to elaborate on him real quick, he's in a prove it moment right now. Like, and it's hard to know what they're going to do after the break. But they might just cruise into the break, just all playing their young guys. And really, I think he's playing for his future at the Sacramento Kings level, but even like auditioning for his next squad. If it doesn't work out for him right now, if he doesn't play well on the floor, stats aside, you might just start seeing his career tumble a different direction. So there's a lot of motivation for both him and the team right now.
Yeah, 18 points, 4 boards, 4 assists, a block, a steal, 2 threes in that game against Cleveland recently. And the 2 games before that, he scored in double figures and had rebounds and assists and blocks and steals. So he's played really well for 3 games in a row. I think at the least, he's a great streamer right now. And at the most,
the thing you want to watch for there is if Russell Westbrook, we haven't heard anything about this, and maybe I could dig in on it, but if Russell Westbrook gets bought out to go play with the contender, that would solve a lot of problems for the Kings, because he can't really be regulated out there on the floor, and they want to lose games, and you could lose games putting Devin Carter and all the other young guys out there, but Russell Westbrook might just like go on his own script and start trying to win and all that good stuff. Anyway, Doc, who do you got?
Yeah, that's the other thing I like about Carter is he plays for the Kings, and they don't have anything to play for. They've got a bunch of unhappy guys on their team, and you let these young kids eat, man, and they can tend to go off. The guy that I was supposed to talk about here originally is Kasparas Yakuchonis. Andre?
No, that's not right. Anybody? Oh, you're gonna get a phonetics in the
Yakuchonis.
Andre says good job. The standards here, there's different standards for different people. This was part of the pregame, everybody.
Oh boy. Anyway, Yakuchonis plays for the Miami Heat, and he's another guy that Eric Spoelstra has just kind of buried and ignored for the entire season. And then suddenly he turned him loose this weekend. Pardon me. And the kid went off for 22 points, 3 boards, 6 dimes, 2 steals, a block. Brew, he hit 8 of 10 shots and 6 of 6 three-pointers in 26 minutes. It's literally really the first pop game he's had all year, and the first time we've really seen him. So I'm not saying that you run out and automatically add Yakuchonis, but I think you at least put him on your radar and keep an eye on him. And tonight's game for the Heat, there's no Pele Larson. He's doubtful. Tyler Hero's been ruled if all those guys are out and the Heat have grown tired of Davion Mitchell, Spoelstra may be ready to turn this kid loose. So I'm very interested to watch him going forward.
This is also a classic spot in the schedule. Heading into the break is teams kind of poop out and they start doing, a lot of their developmental stuff and maybe stop caring so much about their overall rotations and start to give guys down roster a look. And shout out to Mark Camaro, who had this figured out. Yakishonis. I haven't drafted in my Dynasty League here at Sports Ethos, and I've been enjoying that. Let's get to the last honorable mention is Day'Ron Sharpe. 19 points, 9 boards, 4 assists, 2 steals in the classic 19 and a half minutes. So I don't know what's going to happen here with Day'Ron Sharpe. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen with the Brooklyn Nets in general. But the fact that he's maybe done well, say 40% of the time, and could possibly have a future with 25 minutes per game with this squad, just because of people not playing and all of that, it just puts him on the radar. I have Day'Ron Sharpe in a few places. I was in deeper leagues. I was going to drop him, and then he started picking the pace up, and he's been doing it for more games rather than less games lately. So I'm at least mildly excited about it. And you can keep an eye on that too, as well as Noah Clowney, who had 18 points, 4 threes, a steal, and a block, and might be ready to pick up the pace as well. But again, it's Brooklyn. We just don't know. All right, guys, let's shift gears. Let's talk about the guys who are struggling, the buy lows, and the candidates to drop. Doc, who's in your drop zone?
I have very important news here. Our friends at RotoWire, which is where I worked before I came over to Sports Ethos, wrote a blurb about Colin Murray Boyles, Brew, and it says Murray Boyles aggravated his left thumb injury. Doesn't say he re-aggravated it. He just aggravated it.
This is, you're going to get a golf clap. Good job, guys.
RotoWire. Thank you. But that's the news. Colin Murray Boyles aggravated his left thumb injury, did not return to the game. And that is not good news if you have him on your roster. I don't like that. Murray Boyles was kind of on fire, right? And then he got hurt, and then he went away for a while, and then he came back, and he hasn't been as good. Now he's hurt again. Sometimes when guys get hurt, it just ruins the vibe and the flow that they had going prior to that. And he only made it through 8 minutes of Sunday's game. And I think I don't know. I was calling Colin Murray Boyles a drop before this injury, and now this injury, I think it's kind of a done deal.
Yeah, and you got Jakob Poeltl on his way back, so that kind of just cuts into the margin even further. And even in 30 minutes per game, he wasn't exactly crossing the top 100 with regularity, so a little bit rough there. Also rough for Neemias Queta, 4 points, 5 boards, 1 assist in 23 minutes. Had a good game prior to that, and the entire Boston Celtics box score sucked in this last game. And so I got to take it with a little bit of grain of salt, but full disclosure, in my 200 player high stakes formats, and I'm sitting there with 4 centers on lineups, and I'm looking to get pivoted for the final stretch here. And as I was looking to add drop decisions, I have a bunch of high, as usual, just kind of high upside guys and stashes and all that stuff. And it's like I kept landing on Queta as the drop because of the low upside. And I'm out here telling you guys not to do that. And I believe that this isn't over for Neemias Queta. Like, he could absolutely get to the 24th minute and just do exactly what he's been doing all season. And you would get a top 100 player out of that. But you're not going to get much more than that with Nikola Vucevic around. And so for that reason, I think you can drop Queta just kind of whenever you want. And if he gets it going again, pick him back up, or somebody else will pick him back up, and you can rest assured that you're not going to have some game-changing player, out there against you out there. So good job, Queta. Good job. You carried my teams all year, but I got to let you go. Doc, who do you got next?
So, Brew, I found that move that I wanted to ask you about. And this is the league where I have Wembanyama and Luka Doncic, and I'm in third place, which those guys have been banged up. It's been hard. Yep. The move that I am attempting to make is add Cam Spencer and drop Reed Shepard. Any thoughts? Any thoughts on that, Brew?
I
immediately thought of you when I
peanut
was
oil
doing
and
it.
corn oil, but just different stats. That's not peanut oil and corn oil. I look, I would say this, like Cam's got some challenges right now with the tank. And getting the game off the other day was just this little tiny, big, actually not even little tiny, but a big sign like, hey, they're going to mess with these guys' minutes possibly. And, alternate this, they got too many players at guard, might alternate these guys in. I hope this was a one-off for Cam Spencer, but with Reed Shepard, you don't have to worry about that. They don't have options, and you've got a shooting regression that's expected to come and hit, and probably a guy that's been around the league for 2 years. I don't think the rookie wall is going to be a problem for a guy playing the minutes he's playing. He's probably just going to keep improving. You're going to see the consistency improve, not just this year, but next year. But this last stretch, as we get into March and April, could be very good for him, especially down the stretch when they start to rest the Şengün's and the Kevin Durant's once the playoffs start to get a little bit more sorted out. So I'll take Reed Shepard here. And it's just a little sad because I think the trade deadline didn't work out very well for Cam Spencer.
Wow. Okay. I like it. You and Andre both say Reed Shepard over Cam Spencer. That's actionable and helpful news to our viewers, I believe. The next guy on my list, moving on, is Wendell Carter Jr. And I never draft Wendell Carter Jr. I never look at Wendell Carter Jr.'s box scores. I don't care about Wendell Carter Jr., Brew. That's, I guess, where I'm going with this. And the other day in the Q&A with Dr. A show that I do, somebody said, man, I'm really tired of my Wendell Carter Jr. Do you think it's okay to move on? I was like, sure, why not? And so Wendell Carter Jr.'s name popped up on the list today. He's just so baby Jared Allen, like, right? 8 points, 6 boards, 1 steal, 1 block, no threes, 9 points, 7 boards, no blocks, 2 points, 2 boards. Like, I just, there's so many waiver wire players out there that are kind of fun that I don't think you need to mess with Wendell Carter Jr., who is sort of like the opposite of fun, in my opinion.
I don't want to talk about Wendell Carter Jr. I want to talk about Cam Spencer here for a second. If you don't like 16 or more points 4 times out of the last 5 games, if you don't like 4 of 4, 3 of 5, 3 of 7, and 2 of 3 3-point shooting in 4 of the last 5 games, then you don't like fantasy basketball, Andre.
Dude, that's why I put in for him. I looked at his game log and I was like, man, Cam Spencer's still getting it done.
Because here in the private chat, Andre is just brutalizing Cam Spencer as a very solid depth player, like a peak Tyus Jones. And he's on one, and he's on one right now. When he gets on one, I don't know if he's serious or not. But Cam Spencer, I mean, he's done his part over 4 of the last 5 games. Even the 5th game, this is pretty bad actually. But 5 and 5 points, 5 assists, 2 steals, a 3. It's bad. But like 4 of the other games are all paying the bills in that sort of top 75 range. And kind of, for the foreseeable future, it just feels like he's going to have himself a good, basketball situation to work with out there when on the floor. And his minutes, the only game that, mostly in the 27, I'd say 26 to 27 range. He's a 24-minute guy at top 125 value. So, if he's getting 26, 27 minutes, he'll probably be a top 90 guy, and he'll probably outproduce Reed Shepard. And that's going to be unfortunate, but you get the safety of Reed Shepard. You just know that he's not disappearing, and you know that he's not tanking, and tanking is going to be a huge theme. It's going to be a massive theme. And it's to the point where I said this to Andre the other day as we were talking off air, is the league is going to have to step in with this tanking stuff. You can't have teams starting guys and then just straight up not playing them in the 4th quarter, like when they're ahead and then trying to lose the game. You can't do that. It was too much gambling stuff going on. And just after I said that Adam Silver would have to address this during the All-Star break. And I just saw Mark Stein saying it on his show. He's like, Adam Silver's going to get asked a million questions at the All-Star break. He's going to have to address this at the All-Star break. So whatever happens there, we'll see if there's another shoe to drop. In the meantime, if you have players on teams that are tanking, you're going to deal with this every other night stuff, and it's going to ruin fantasy values, and we're going to just be sitting there trying to navigate it all. All right, let's get to Jalen Tyson. I hate to bring him up in the drop zone. He's 10.6 boards, nothing else, 27 minutes. The Cavs, they did have a kind of a revenge game, if you will, where Keon and Dennis Schroeder were in Sacramento. There was also a hilarious thing where Travis Scott was seated next to Vivek Ranadive as a guest, the musician. And so as soon as James Harden came over in the building where the Cavs won, Travis Scott completely ditches Vivek and then rides off on James Harden's back. That was embarrassing, as usual. But anyway, so Keon got a few extra minutes. The Cavs kind of Twitter media thought that it was really interesting that Keon got the minutes and not Jalen Tyson. And I think that might have been a one-off because of where they were playing. And Tyson, though, the big issue is James Harden. Like, is James Harden just going to come in and ruin his value? Is he going to stick him down into the top 150? Kind of think this still stays around top 100. Like Nemish Keita, where I've got a ton of guards in high stakes leagues, I had to put Jalen Tyson out there as a drop. And, I was okay with it because I think his upside just got capped by James Harden's arrival. I think he might not cross top 100 the rest of the way. Maybe I'm wrong on this, and I think the player is good, and I think he's earned the right to do this, but it's just James Harden, and I'm a little bit worried there. Doc, let me know what you think about that. If not, who are you dropping?
Yeah, I'm a little worried about Jalen Tyson, man. I mean, we've seen James Harden ruin lots of things over the last 20 years. Lots of nice things that we liked. And it wouldn't surprise me if he hurts Tyson. But the fact that game was against the Kings, it was in Sacramento too, right?
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't read too much into that. You just got to see what happens in the next one. Now, if it happens again in the next one or two games with Tyson, then I'm officially going to freak out.
And an amazing season for him. So
he has been amazing. I love him. Next on my list is Kalkbrenner. And you talk about baby Jared Allen lines for Wendell Carter Jr. These lines for Kalk are really bad. And it all stems from the minutes. 15, 15, 14, 18, 19, 15. His last 6 games, those are his minutes. They're just not there. 6 points, 5 boards, no blocks on Saturday. 2 points, 4 boards, 2 blocks and 4 steals on Thursday. That was nice. But the steals aren't consistent enough. The blocks aren't big enough that it's really worth him being on rosters, as long as Moussa Diabate is getting the bulk of the minutes and running, running the show, I guess, from the big man position. Now, is Kalkbrenner done for the season? I don't know, but the fact that the Charlotte Hornets never lose a game now, and Moussa Diabate is like locked into that lineup in that role, I don't see them changing anything. So they're good with giving Kalkbrenner's 15 minutes. So I kind of think it's a lost cause for Kalkbrenner the rest of the season.
I'll tell you, fantasy analysis is sometimes really brutal. Like I came into this season watching Diabate and thinking he was the guy. And then they go and they give it to Kalkbrenner, right out the chute. And he's just jumping out like a monster, top 40 for like the first month and a half. And I'm like, going, my eyes, like, what's wrong with my eyes? Like, I can't figure this out. Like, why not Diabate? And then lo and behold, toward the end of this this month and the last month or two, they become this team that's really good. And Diabate is down there at the center of it because he's really an athletic freak. And you can't have enough athletic freaks, and this is kind of going back to the Dallas stuff. Like, you got to get these guys on the floor. You got to get the Mousas on the floor because they're going to impact winning. And now we're seeing it in Charlotte. And I think Moussa Diabate has risen to more of a steady late round value now. I've had him more as a streamer. He's probably still a streamer because every now and then he's disappearing. It's not all good for Moussa Diabate, but he's clearly outclassed Ryan Kalkbrenner. All right, let's get to Utah. Let's just talk some Utah stuff because Ace Bailey could be looked at theoretically as a drop. He had 10 points, 3 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 1 3. That's not the line I would use to drop a guy like that. 31 minutes is a great sign. And all this Utah just talk, right? Like we've got 3 draft picks and Walter Clayton that were traded to bring in Jaren Jackson. And the bottom line is this, like they're 6th in the standings right now, I believe. And they could, in order to get their 8 pick, they've got to keep, if they're the 8 pick, they keep their pick. If they're not the 8 pick or better, they lose their pick. It goes into the ether. So right now, if they're 5th or 6th, they could get leapfrog by 4 teams. So if they finish 5th, they could get the 9th pick. Not what are the odds of that? Not great, right? But that said, you can't just lose a pick if you're Utah. Part of this plan was we're going to get the pick with all of these guys, and that makes the home run swing theoretically worth it, though I don't think it has a chance in hell of being worth it, but at least it'll make things interesting. You'll get a playoff run out of it, Utah. So congrats for that. In the meantime, so Ace Bailey is a part of their future and probably plays. Kyle Filipowski, who had 9 points, 5 boards, 1 3, 12 minutes. Who do you think is going to mop up all those minutes when they start sitting, the whole crew? And then you have Keontae George out there at 5 points, 1 board, 1 assist, 1 steal, 13 minutes and injured again. Now, we don't know with Keontae George or any of these guys on any of these tanking teams how bad these injuries really are. But I can tell you this, Ace Bailey and Kyle Filipowski and Isaiah Collier are going to be running the show, at least until they want to get worse than that. And then we'll have to look further down the depth chart to see who's behind Isaiah Collier, because it's not Walter Clayton anymore. Collier, by the way, is averaging 20 and 12 for the month of February and is just on an absolute heater. He plays like every minute of every game. So we have to look down roster in Utah, and for Ace and Kyle, Ace, I think, is a must roster player. And with Kyle, I think he's kind of borderline must roster just on the concept of, look, this thing might hit. And if it hits, you don't want it on somebody else's team. You want it on yours. Doc, who else you got?
A fellow named Jock Landale. Funny thing happened on Saturday. Onyeka Okongwu came back to play basketball, and Jock Landale went from a 26-11-5 with 4 blocks guy to a 5-0-0 guy. 17 minutes, 5.0 rebounds, 0 blocks for Jock on Saturday against the aforementioned Kalkbrenner and Moussa Diabate. I don't know. Am I completely done with Landale? Probably. Brewer, are you completely done with him as long as Okongwu's healthy?
We've seen this in Memphis. You think he's going to be a late round guy. He goes on flurries. Like if you can find the flurry, about 6 games where he's just cooking and the team decides to just keep leaning into it. But something weird will happen. It'll knock him off his axis. And it's something like this. Atlanta's trajectory is also weird. Like I feel like they're 1 or 2 injuries away from kind of shutting it down a little bit. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but they just don't seem to care about like this season. And that worries me in the tanking realm, but I don't think they're going to be tanking hard anytime soon. So far so good, but yeah, I think he's just a late round guy at this point. Nothing better.
Okay. Yeah, I don't have much more to say, but if Okongwu is playing, I don't think you want to mess with Landale.
And when they're at full strength, I also think CJ McCollum gets he's got some tough sledding. He had 12 and 3 with 2 threes, 28 minutes, 1 steal. So, not really paying the bills there. And if they're at a full strength, I think CJ McCollum is just going to have too many flaws to make it happen in a standard league 12-team setting. Let's get to Keyshawn George and Will Riley. Speaking of tanking teams, 13 points, 2 boards, 3 assists for Keyshawn. He had a block and 3 threes. Okay, this survived. I got Keyshawn George everywhere. And I looked at this line and the whole circumstance of, is he playing? Is he not playing? And, what's his status heading into the break? He's got 1 more game. I think that he will probably miss, if I had to guess, heading into into the All-Star break. And I was just like, okay, let's just get through this thing. And he gave me the 13, 2, and 3. I was thankful for that. But he's definitely not dropping. You're definitely not dropping Keyshawn George. He's a top 60 kind of guy in 8 cat leagues. In 9 cat leagues, if the turnovers are something you care about, then it starts to get a little bit more murky because games off, half games, that might be a thing we see out of NBA teams now, is these half games. It could get really bumpy, not just for him, but his teammates and everything that's going on there. And it kind of begs the question of like Will Riley, for example, who's had 2 or 3 really good games and starting to get mentioned in The Athletic as one of their core guys that they want to make happen. Justin Champagny never gets mentioned, and we'll be tracking that, though he's been great again as expected. And but the Keyshawn George, Will Riley, kind of two ships passing in the night here. I think with Will Riley, we got to see it again, and with Keyshawn George, we got to hold and just see what happens after the break. If he starts getting games off regularly, it might be harder to hold Keyshawn George. All right, Doc, who's your top streamer heading into tonight?
Well, I've got Devin Carter written down. We already talked about him, not ad nauseum, but a lot. And he's not a sure thing to hit, but he's played well in 3 games in a row for Sacramento. That the guys that I'm kind of focused on tonight are Jaime Jaquez and Kasparas Yakuchonis, who we also talked about. As I mentioned when we were talking about Kasparas, there's Pelle Larsson's probably out tonight. Tyler Hero not playing. Norm Powell questionable. Jaime Jaquez is coming off a really bad game. So I expect a bounce back from him. And then I really want to see if Spoelstra is going to turn to Yakuchonis again and let him rip, because if he does, this could be a fun, silly season type of guy.
I'm going to do something you just did, because we already talked about Day'Ron Sharpe a little bit. He would be a great streamer for me tonight because, yeah, you get some low-level kind of safety. And, yeah, he might pop off with a 4.5 board, 1 steal game and just piss you off. But there's a decent chance that he gets you some production, and you can maybe wander this thing into the All-Star break and just get a little peek and see what happens after the break. And maybe they actually make him a consistent 25-minute per game guy. But I'm actually looking at Golden State. I wanted a classic streamer for you guys, and I'm looking at Pat Spencer. They really like Pat Spencer in Golden State, and especially heading into the break with no Steph Curry. You kind of just look into your guys that play like glue guys to bring some stability to the situation. So I like the idea that Pat Spencer, who just got a new deal as well, is better rather than worse. And if you're in a deeper setting, especially like a 14-team league, I think Pat Spencer might actually produce for you. And then you got your classic Moses Moody, who has rest of season value, and D'Anthony Melton, who had a slow night with some good steals. And he'll probably balance all of that out. And then Guy Santos, of course, has been playing well. Doc, give us a fresh name. Who you got?
Breaking news, Brew. Your boy, Domantas Sabonis, not playing tonight.
I'm not a Kings fan, and I am a Domantas Sabonis fan. And yes, he ruined their decade. What
else? This might be my favorite play of the night. Nolan Traore. No Michael Porter Jr., no Michael Porter Jr., no Igor Joman. I think Traore is my favorite stream of the evening. Point guard for the Brooklyn Nets. Had a really good game last time Joman was out. So I'm dialing up Traore tonight and letting him rip. He will definitely be in my FanDuel line.
I love that. I just love streamers that are just like the 16 to 20 team value kind of guys that are going to reach up and get you a 10 team line. So that's great stuff there. Dennis Jenkins is my similarly. Dennis Jenkins. It's almost like I feel like this is a nod to his past performance as well. He just got his deal. Everybody in Detroit's thrilled about it. He had to sit a couple games, just to make sure that the deal got done. And it was all a little bit unfortunate if you were taking Dennis Jenkins into the break, thinking, maybe this deal happens, you're going to catch some lightning in a bottle on the other side of it. They play him in the toward the ends of the fourth quarters all the time because he's a release valve for Cade Cunningham. They trust him with the basketball. Jaden Ivey just got sent out. Kevin Huerter got brought in. So it's a big old mess. But if there is a chance for Dennis Jenkins to be anything, I think they give him a celebration game, and then we'll just see what that trajectory is going forward. Are they going to give him 22 minutes per game going forward? Because if so, he's in play for top 125 value at that level. So why not take a chance on him tonight? Keep your expectations in check, of course, but maybe you do get that momentum build after the break, and you do get yourself something of a late round value heading forward. Right. Doc, you got anybody else?
You said everybody in Detroit is thrilled about his signing. Well, everybody on this podcast is thrilled about it as well. I saw that and I was like, Oh, that just
I got warm
made
and
my
fuzzy
day.
inside. Actually, the crew sent me congratulatory messages as if I was on Team Jenkins, which I
Yeah,
am.
we are on Team Jenkins, dude. He starts for my 30 deep team every
A lot of
week.
great interviews coming out with him too, like kind of like just the way that he was so shocked that he wasn't drafted, and he just doesn't think that he shouldn't have been drafted. I know players are confident and they think they should be out there, but like he really believes it. You see it in his play. Like he'll take a shot at any point in time, and he's not that guy. He's not irrational confidence guy. He's just I will take a shot because I believe in myself guy. Let's get to go.
Who was the terrible Charlotte Hornet player that I wanted his jersey last year? Do you remember?
Oh, was it KJ Simpson?
No.
I hope their parents aren't watching this.
I can't remember. It doesn't matter. But now I really want a Dennis Jenkins jersey. Like
that would be cool.
That's what I want for Christmas. All right.
No. Oh yeah. You're up. Who you got?
In Denver, we have no Spencer Jones, and we have no
Peyton Watson.
Peyton Watson. I don't know why I didn't write that down. No Peyton Watson and no Spencer Jones. So it really should be the Cam Johnson show. I don't trust Cam Johnson. He's always hurt. He's yet to pop, but I feel like a big one could be coming.
People were making big bids on Cam Johnson in high stakes. Like I was surprised because
there's nobody else to play.
Yeah. He hasn't been good this season. He had a couple flurries there, way back the first time we all wondered if Peyton Watson would have value, and then it kind of happened, but then didn't happen. Then he just turned into a beast. I think people are thinking that maybe that Cam Johnson might just be a beast here. It's definitely worthy of a stream. You got to see how this thing goes. So great stuff there. Quentin Grimes is my last honorable mention. And here's why. Like the Sixers have completely turned into a two-man basketball team. It's kind of worked for them. But if you look underneath the kind of the success of the recent last few games, and even go a little bit further back, they have had trouble beating teams. And the move they made at the deadline to get rid of Jared McCain has really irked the locals. And it sort of signified, does Philly even believe in themselves at this point? Not adding players. You've got Joel Embiid, and if it's happening, it's this year. I mean, do we really think it's going to be next year? So they didn't add anybody, and they've got these two guys going out there, and Embiid and Tyrese Maxey taking all of the shots. Quentin Grimes has had like 2 shots per the last 2 games. Can they really put Quentin Grimes in the corner like that for 3 games? I really just don't think it can happen. I'm playing the bounce back angle here. And if it happens and they kind of build off of it heading into the break, that would be good for Quentin Grimes, who's a top 75 guy for most of the season before things started heading south. And that's going to do it for this episode of Fantasy NBA Today. If you're listening on the pod feed, please take 60 seconds and leave a 5-star review. It really helps us out. And if you're watching on YouTube, hit that thumbs up button and subscribe to the Sports Ethos channel so you guys never miss an episode. From Doc, Andre, and everybody here at Sports Ethos, we will be right back with our daily fantasy deep dive, available exclusively on the Fantasy NBA Today pod feed and the Sports Ethos YouTube channel. This has been Fantasy NBA Today, presented by FanDuel.
I'll be revealing the name of that